She chose the woman who destroyed our family over me for her wedding. Those words left my mouth that morning when my daughter said I was being difficult because I refused to attend after she made my ex-husband's affair partner, the same woman who sent me screenshots of their hotel receipts to set me free, her maid of honor instead of me. I stayed home that Saturday, but my sister went and recorded everything. I watched Anna slip out the door that morning with her phone charged, and her purse containing the small recording device I'd casually mentioned worked great for capturing memories. She squeezed my hand before leaving, her jaw set in that way that told me she understood exactly what I needed. The house fell silent after she left. I sat in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd taught Olivia to bake cookies, where we'd planned her high school graduation party, where I'd stupidly believed we'd plan her wedding together. And I didn't cry. I'd done enough crying 3 years ago when those hotel receipts hit my phone at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Lauren had made sure the timestamps were visible. She'd made sure I could see my husband of 24 years had been with her during the exact hours he'd texted me about working late on the Henderson account. What Olivia didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd spent the last 8 months building something much more permanent than a mother-daughter relationship. I'd spent it building a case. My phone started buzzing around 2 p.m. Anna sending video clips. The ceremony first. Olivia in her dress. James walking her down the aisle with tears in his eyes like he had any right to that moment. Then Lauren, standing where I should have been, wearing a pale pink dress that probably cost more than the alimony James paid me each month. The dress code had specified immediate family and wedding party in blush tones. Lauren got blush. I would have gotten blush. But I got uninvited from the wedding party entirely when I caused drama by asking Olivia if she understood what Lauren had done to our family. "She makes Dad happy, Mom," Olivia had said, like happiness justified affairs. Like happiness was worth destroying someone's trust so completely they couldn't sleep without checking their partner's location. "You need to move on. It's been 3 years." 3 years. As if time healed being replaced. The next video showed the reception. Lauren giving a maid of honor speech about new beginnings, and blended families, and love conquering all obstacles. The guests applauded. I watched James put his arm around her waist, pulling her close, kissing her temple. My sister's camera work was steady, capturing every face, every reaction, every single person who thought this was beautiful instead of grotesque. Then came the clip I'd been waiting for. Olivia, laughing with Lauren, the two of them hugging like they were the ones who shared blood. My daughter, wearing the family heirloom earrings my mother had given me to pass down to her, whispering something in Lauren's ear, both of them glancing toward the corner where Anna stood, then laughing harder. They thought Anna was just the bitter aunt supporting her bitter sister. They had no idea Anna was a family law attorney who specialized in asset protection and fraud. I set my phone down and opened my laptop. The folder I'd been building sat ready. Henderson account, complete files. James really shouldn't have used the same password for everything. He definitely shouldn't have kept using our old iCloud family account for his work backups. And he absolutely shouldn't have been stupid enough to embezzle $237,000 from his firm through fake vendor accounts while documenting everything in emails to Lauren about their future together. See, James didn't just have an affair. James got sloppy. The hotel receipts Lauren sent me? Those came from the corporate card. The Henderson account he'd been working on? Didn't exist. Henderson was the name he'd used for the shell company funneling money to the private account he shared with Lauren. I'd known for 6 months. I'd verified every transaction with a forensic accountant who owed Anna a favor. I had bank statements, email chains, and even a recording from when James got drunk at Christmas and told Daniel, his golfing buddy who I'd stayed friendly with after the divorce, exactly how he'd set up his retirement early. Daniel had been very forthcoming once I'd explained the situation over coffee. Funny how quickly James's friends became my allies once they knew the whole story. My phone buzzed again. Anna, texting now. They're cutting the cake. Lauren just caught the bouquet. You sure about Monday? Monday. That's when James's firm returned from their holiday closure. That's when the senior partners would find the anonymous package containing copies of everything. Every fraudulent invoice, every fake vendor, every dollar traced from company accounts to James and Lauren's private paradise fund. The package would arrive with a note. You might want to review the Henderson account files. Signed, a concerned former spouse with documentation. I'd timed it perfectly. The wedding was Saturday. Sunday, they'd fly to Bali. First-class tickets purchased with embezzled funds. Monday morning, while they were sipping champagne over the Indian Ocean, James's career would detonate. The evidence was ironclad. The partners would have no choice but to prosecute. But that was just the beginning. I texted Anna back, "I'm sure, enjoy the cake." Because what James and Lauren and my daughter didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that I'd also spent 8 months getting very friendly with Lauren's ex-husband, William. Nice man. Devastated when Lauren left him, even more devastated when I showed him proof that Lauren had been seeing James for 6 months before she'd asked for the divorce. William had been very generous with information about their assets, their accounts, and the fact that Lauren had failed to disclose several major purchases during their divorce proceedings. Fraud penalties on hidden assets during divorce? Substantial. Career ending for someone working at the state comptroller's office like Lauren did. William was filing his motion to reopen the divorce case on Tuesday. My phone lit up with another video. The father-daughter dance. James, holding Olivia, both of them crying. Beautiful moment. Precious memory. I wondered if Olivia would keep this video after everything came out. I wondered if she'd remember choosing Lauren over me when she had to choose which parent to visit in which legal proceeding. I saved every video Anna sent. Evidence. Timeline. Documentation of where everyone was and what they knew and when they knew it. Because Phase 3 was going to require proving that Olivia had full knowledge of her father's activities. Those family dinners where James and Lauren had discussed investments in front of her, the texts where Olivia had asked her dad to loan her $15,000 for the wedding from his bonus. That bonus came from embezzlement. Every vendor check, every fake invoice. I could trace it. And gifts made with stolen money? Recoverable in court. The wedding ended around 11 p.m., according to Anna's timestamp. She called me from the parking lot. "It was disgusting," she said. Lauren acted like she was the mother of the bride. "She's already calling herself Olivia's stepmom to anyone who'll listen." "Let her," I said. "Let her get comfortable." "You're terrifying when you're calm like this." "I learned from the best. You taught me everything about documentation." Anna laughed, but it was hollow. Are you absolutely sure? Once Monday happens, there's no going back. James will go to prison. Lauren will lose everything. And Olivia made her choice. She chose the woman who sent me screenshots of my husband's affair to rub my face in it. She chose the woman who destroyed our family and then played victim. She chose wrong. Silence on the line. Then, "I'll be ready to file the civil suit Wednesday. They'll be vulnerable then." Wednesday. The day I'd sue James and Lauren for emotional distress, alienation of affection, and fraud. The day Olivia would realize her dream wedding was built on stolen money and lies. The day everyone who thought I was just the bitter ex-wife would see exactly who they'd been defending. I hung up and looked at the last photo Anna had sent. Olivia and Lauren, arms around each other, champagne glasses raised, both of them laughing. The caption Olivia had posted to social media read, "My bonus mom made today perfect. Some people can't let go of the past, but I'm choosing my future." I smiled, because Olivia had no idea that her future was about to include federal prosecutors, civil court, and the discovery that everyone she'd trusted had been lying to her. She had no idea that the bonus money for her honeymoon came from theft. She had no idea that by next month, Lauren would be fired and James would be arrested. She had no idea that I'd been planning this since the day she told me Lauren would be her maid of honor. Some people can't let go of the past? I wasn't letting go of anything. I was weaponizing it. Monday morning, I was drinking coffee when Anna called at 8:47 a.m. The package was delivered. Confirmed signature from the senior partner's office. I set my cup down carefully. Across town, in a glass tower overlooking the harbor, 3 senior partners were opening an envelope that would end James's life as he knew it. I'd included a cover letter explaining exactly who I was, the ex-wife, the one who'd been married to James during the entire embezzlement period. The one with legal access to joint accounts and cloud storage until our divorce finalized. Everything I'd gathered was admissible. Everything was documented. Everything was irrefutable. How long until they act? I asked. If they're smart? Immediately. This is prosecutable fraud, Em. They'll want to move fast before he destroys evidence. But James was in Bali. James was holding Lauren's hand on a beach, posting photos to social media with captions about new adventures and paradise found. I'd checked his location this morning, still at the resort, still blissfully unaware that his firm's security team was already in his office, boxing up files. My phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. Holy hell, just got called into emergency partner meeting. What did you do? I didn't respond. Daniel would figure it out soon enough. By noon, Anna sent me a screenshot from the firm's internal system. She still had a friend who worked there from her corporate law days. James's access credentials had been revoked. His company credit cards were frozen. The firm had issued a statement to staff about cooperating with an ongoing investigation into financial irregularities. At 2 p.m., my doorbell rang. William stood there, manila folder in hand, looking 10 years younger than when I'd first met him 6 months ago. Revenge was good for the complexion, apparently. Filed it an hour ago, he said, stepping inside. Motion to reopen based on newly discovered evidence of asset concealment and fraud during divorce proceedings. Lauren hid $140,000 in investment accounts. She claimed poverty to reduce her settlement to me, then turned around and bought a BMW the day our divorce finalized. What are the penalties? Aside from paying me back with interest, likely termination from her state position. They don't take kindly to employees committing fraud, especially ones with access to public funds. The comptroller's office has a zero-tolerance policy. William smiled, and it wasn't kind. She'll be unemployed by Friday if this goes the way my attorney says it will. And the criminal charges? Divorce fraud is prosecutable. My attorney is pushing for it. Between what she did to me and what she helped James do to his firm, Lauren's looking at serious legal trouble. I offered him coffee. We sat in my kitchen. 2 people who'd been discarded like trash by the same 2 people, and we went through the timeline. Tomorrow, William's filing would hit the court system. By Wednesday, Lauren's employer would be notified of the pending fraud investigation. Her security clearance, required for her position, would be suspended pending review. What about Olivia? William asked quietly. Your daughter. She's going to be caught in this. Olivia chose her side. She stood there in her wedding dress and made Lauren her maid of honor. She knew what Lauren did to me. She knew what her father did to me. She chose them anyway. I took a sip of coffee. And those gifts James gave her for the wedding? Prosecutors can trace stolen money. If she spent money she knew came from fraud, she's implicated too. William winced. That's harsh. That's consequences. I stood up, walking to my study, pulling out another folder. These are texts between Olivia and James from the last year. She knew he was hiding money from the firm. She asked him how he could afford the $15,000 for her wedding costs when he was crying poverty, about alimony payments to me. He told her not to worry about the details. She responded with, "You're the best dad ever." I handed William the printed texts. He read through them, his expression darkening. She knew, he said. She knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. Enough to question. She chose not to. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Ms. Emma? A male voice. Professional. Clipped. This is Henry Martinez from Blackstone and Associates. I'm one of the senior partners at your ex-husband's firm. I'm calling to verify some information in a package we received this morning. What would you like to verify? Did you compile the documents regarding James's activities with the Henderson account? I did. And do you have additional documentation beyond what you sent? I have everything. Bank statements, emails, recorded conversations, timestamps, location data. 8 months of research with a forensic accountant. It's all backed up in multiple secure locations. Silence. Then, would you be willing to meet with us and potentially with federal prosecutors? We're moving forward with criminal charges. Your testimony would be invaluable. I'll meet with anyone you need me to. I want this on record. I want everyone to know exactly what James did. We scheduled a meeting for Wednesday. I hung up and looked at William. "It's happening," I said. "Are you scared?" "Of what? Of them?" "No." I picked up my phone, scrolling through Olivia's social media. More honeymoon photos. Lauren had commented on every single one. "My beautiful bonus daughter. So proud. Best wedding ever." I showed William the screen. "Look at them. They think they won. They think I'm sitting here broken while they live happily ever after." I locked my phone. They have no idea what's coming. That night, Anna came over with takeout and wine. We sat on my back porch watching the sunset, eating pad thai from containers. "The firm filed a police report this afternoon," Anna said. "They're pursuing full criminal prosecution. The DA's office has already assigned someone to the case. James's accounts have been frozen pending investigation." "What about Lauren?" William's motion hit the news cycle. Local reporter picked it up. State employee accused of divorce fraud. Her office put her on administrative leave within 3 hours. They're fast when it's public. I twirled noodles around my fork. And Olivia? Radio silence. But her comments on social media stopped around 4 p.m. Someone probably told her something's wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Mom? What's happening? Dad's phone is off and his credit cards aren't working. Are you doing this?" I stared at the message. Anna looked over my shoulder. "Are you going to respond?" she asked. I typed slowly. "I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't even at your wedding, remember? You made that choice. These are the consequences of your father's choices, not mine." I hit send and blocked the number. "Cold?" Anna said. But she was smiling. She wanted Lauren as her mother figure. She can call Lauren for help. I took a long sip of wine. Let's see how bonus mom handles crisis management when she's got her own legal problems. The sun set over the water, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Tomorrow, William's case would make headlines. Wednesday, I'd meet with prosecutors. By the weekend, James and Lauren would be facing criminal charges, and Olivia would understand exactly what it meant to choose the wrong side. Tuesday morning brought rain and revelations. The local news ran William's story at 7 a.m. State comptroller employee under investigation for fraud. They'd found the BMW purchase, the hidden accounts, everything William's attorney had filed. Lauren's face filled the screen. Her work ID photo, professional and smiling. The anchor's voice was appropriately grave. Lauren Martinez is accused of concealing assets during divorce proceedings and potentially misusing her position to facilitate financial fraud. Martinez. I hadn't known her last name when we were just the other woman. Now she was a headline. My phone rang before I'd finished my coffee. Olivia, calling from James's number. "Mom, please. Whatever you're doing, stop. Dad can't access anything. The firm locked him out. They're saying things about investigations and stolen money. And now Lauren's all over the news. Please, if you know something, tell me what's happening." Her voice cracked on the last word. 3 days ago, she'd been laughing with Lauren, posting photos about her perfect day. Now reality was hitting, and she wanted me to save her. "I told you, Olivia. I don't know what you're talking about. Your father's business dealings have nothing to do with me. We've been divorced for 3 years. Remember? You told me to move on. But the news said... They said Lauren hid money during her divorce. And Dad's firm is talking about embezzlement. You knew Lauren's ex-husband. Did you do this?" I took a slow sip of coffee, letting the silence stretch. "Did I expose your father's crimes? Did I help William discover his ex-wife committed fraud? Is that what you're asking me, Olivia?" "Mom, you stood at your wedding and made that woman your maid of honor. The woman who sent me screenshots of hotel receipts to humiliate me. You told me I was being difficult. You told me I needed to let go of the past." My voice stayed level, calm. "I let go, sweetheart. I let go of you, your father, and every obligation I thought I had to protect people who'd rather side with my destroyers than stand with me. I'm your daughter. You were my daughter. Then you chose Lauren. You don't get to choose her when it's convenient and come running back to me when your choices have consequences." I hung up. Blocked that number too. Anna texted minutes later. "Olivia just called me crying. Said you won't help them. She's asking me to talk to you." I responded, "Tell her to call her bonus mom." You're ice cold. I'm done being warm to people who'd rather watch me burn. Wednesday's meeting with the prosecutors was surgical. I sat in a conference room with Henry from the firm, 2 federal prosecutors, and Anna as my attorney. I walked them through everything. The iCloud account James never closed, the Henderson documents, the timestamps, the fake vendors. I provided the forensic accountant's analysis. I showed them emails where James explicitly told Lauren they were building their nest egg through creative accounting. "This is remarkably thorough," one prosecutor said. She was younger than me, sharp-eyed, taking notes on a tablet. "How long did this take you to compile?" 8 months. I started the day my daughter told me she was making Lauren her maid of honor. That's quite a motivation. Revenge is an excellent motivator. The prosecutor's lips quirked. "We'll need your testimony when this goes to trial. James will likely try to claim ignorance or blame subordinates. Your evidence proves intent and knowledge. When does he find out he's being charged? We've coordinated with international authorities. He'll be arrested when he lands back in the country, Friday afternoon." 3 more days of paradise for James and Lauren. 3 more days of honeymoon photos and beach sunsets. Then handcuffs and arraignment. Henry cleared his throat. "Emma, I want to apologize on behalf of the firm. We should have caught this sooner. James worked here for 18 years. We trusted him. He was good at lying. He lied to me for years before I caught him. Don't feel special." I left the meeting with Anna at 3 p.m. We stopped for lunch at the bistro downtown, the same place Olivia used to love for birthday celebrations. The irony wasn't lost on me. "William's hearing is tomorrow," Anna said, cutting into her salmon. "His attorney thinks the judge will rule in his favor immediately. The evidence is overwhelming. What happens to Lauren? Best case for her? She pays back everything plus penalties, loses her job, and avoids jail time if she cooperates fully. Worst case, criminal charges for fraud, possible prison time, permanent record that destroys any chance of working in finance or government again. I'm hoping for worst case." "I know you are." Anna set down her fork. I need to ask. What about Olivia? She's going to lose everything too. Her father's going to prison. The money he gave her for the wedding is stolen. She could be called as a witness. Her entire life is about to implode. Good. She's 26 years old. She made a stupid decision choosing Lauren, but she's still your kid. She stopped being my kid when she looked me in the eye and told me I was bitter for not celebrating the woman who destroyed my marriage. She stopped being my kid when she posted those photos captioned, "Some people can't let go of the past," which she chose adults who used stolen money to fund lifestyles and then acted like victims when called out. These are adult consequences for adult choices. Anna sighed. "You're not going to budge on this, would you? If Lucas had chosen your ex and his affair partner over you after everything you'd been through." Anna, who'd gone through her own devastating divorce 5 years ago, went quiet. Her ex-husband had been emotionally abusive, gaslighting her for years. Her son Lucas had believed his father initially, had accused Anna of making things up, until he'd witnessed an incident himself. The reconciliation had taken years and therapy. "No," Anna finally said. "I wouldn't budge. You're right." That evening, Daniel called. "The firm's in chaos. They're auditing everything James touched for the last decade. Early estimates put the theft at over $300,000 once they factor in all the fake accounts. Emma, they're talking about this being one of the biggest internal fraud cases in the firm's history." James was always ambitious. He destroyed himself. His career, his freedom, everything. And Lauren's facing charges too, from what I'm hearing. The comptroller's office doesn't mess around. "What about Olivia? Has she reached out to you?" "She called me yesterday, asked if I knew what was happening. I told her the truth, that her father was a thief and I'd given you information when you'd asked for it months ago. She called me a traitor." "That sounds like Olivia." "She's got no money, Em. James's accounts are frozen. The honeymoon got cut short. They can't afford the rest of the trip. Lauren's on leave without pay. Olivia's asking everyone in the family for loans, but nobody wants to touch this situation." A small, dark part of me thrilled at that image. Olivia, who'd just had her dream wedding realizing the money was dirty. Olivia, who'd posted about new beginnings, watching everything collapse. "Let her ask," I said. Let her see how quickly her support system disappears when there's legal liability involved. Thursday brought William's victory. The judge ruled in his favor within an hour of hearing the evidence. Lauren was ordered to repay $140,000, plus interest and legal fees. The judge's statement was scathing. Fraud during divorce proceedings represents a fundamental breach of legal and ethical obligations. This court will not tolerate such behavior. By Thursday evening, Lauren's employer had terminated her. The statement was public. The comptroller's office has zero tolerance for employees engaged in fraudulent activities. Lauren Martinez's employment has been terminated effective immediately, and we are cooperating fully with ongoing investigations. Lauren's social media went dark. All the maid of honor photos, all the wedding posts, all the bonus mom comments, deleted. Her profile went private. She was disappearing, trying to hide, but it was too late. The news had her name. The court records were public. Everyone knew. Olivia posted one thing Thursday night, visible before she locked her account. I can't believe people would destroy lives out of bitterness. Some of you should be ashamed. I screenshot it and sent it to Anna with a laughing emoji. Friday afternoon, I was in my garden when Anna called. He's been arrested. James landed 2 hours ago and federal agents were waiting. They arrested him at the airport. It's all over the news. I pulled up the video on my phone. James, in a wrinkled Hawaiian shirt, hands cuffed behind his back, being led through the terminal by 2 agents. His face was gray, shocked, completely unprepared for this reality. Travelers stared. Someone filmed on their phone. The footage was already going viral on local news sites. The headline read, "Local attorney arrested for embezzlement. Over 237 $, stolen." I watched it 3 times, feeling nothing but satisfaction. "How's Olivia?" I asked. Hysterical, according to Lucas. She called him begging for money, said she has nothing, that everyone's abandoned her, that her father's a good man being persecuted. She still doesn't get it. No, she doesn't. She thinks you orchestrated some witch hunt instead of just exposing the truth. I sat back in my garden chair, phone in hand, looking at the roses I'd planted after the divorce. They were blooming beautifully now, full and red and thriving. Let her think whatever she wants, I said. Reality's going to teach her eventually. She can either learn now or learn later, but either way, she'll learn. James's arraignment was scheduled for Monday. Lauren's criminal fraud hearing was set for 2 weeks out. William's lawsuit was settled. Lauren would be paying him for years, essentially bankrupting her. The firm was moving forward with maximum prosecution against James, refusing any plea deals that didn't include significant prison time, and Olivia was discovering that bonus moms disappear when they're facing criminal charges, that fathers who steal can't bail you out, that dream weddings funded by fraud leave you with nothing but debt and humiliation. Some people can't let go of the past, she'd written. I hadn't let go. I'd weaponized it, and it was working perfectly. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected. Plain walls, fluorescent lighting, rows of wooden benches that were mostly empty, except for a few reporters and court personnel. I sat in the back, Anna beside me, watching James stand before the judge in an orange jumpsuit. His attorney, not from his firm, they'd cut ties immediately, looked tired and underprepared. The prosecutor laid out the charges methodically. $237,000, 14 separate instances of wire fraud, 18 fake vendors created over 3 years, evidence of intent, of planning, of systematic theft from clients and firm alike. How does your client plead? The judge asked. Not guilty, Your Honor. James's attorney's voice lacked conviction. Bail was set at $500,000, cash only, given the flight risk and evidence of hidden assets. James's face went white. He didn't have that kind of liquid cash, not anymore. Everything was frozen, being traced, caught up in forensic accounting. Lauren certainly couldn't help. She was preparing for her own hearing, her own reckoning, remanded to county jail until bail is posted, the judge said, gavel striking wood. I watched them lead James away. He scanned the courtroom once, desperately, looking for friendly faces. His eyes landed on me in the back row. Recognition flashed across his features, followed by something darker. Hatred, maybe, or understanding. I smiled and waved. Anna squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "I'm perfect." Outside the courthouse, reporters clustered. I'd dressed carefully for this. Professional navy suit, hair neat, minimal makeup. I looked competent and composed while James looked like a criminal. "Ms. Emma, do you have any comment on your ex-husband's arrest?" I stopped, turned to the cameras. I'm relieved that the truth has come out. For years, I was told I was bitter, that I needed to move on, that I was holding grudges. But I wasn't holding grudges. I was sitting on evidence of crimes. There's a difference. James betrayed not just me and our family, but his clients, his firm, and the legal system itself. I'm grateful to have played a role in bringing his actions to light. What about your daughter? Sources say she's been impacted by this. My daughter made choices about who to trust and who to stand beside. Everyone faces consequences for their choices. This situation is no different. I walked away before they could ask more questions, but the clip would be on the evening news. Emma, the wronged ex-wife who'd been vindicated. Emma, who'd been called bitter, but turned out to be right. The narrative was writing itself exactly as I'd planned. Lauren's hearing was the following Wednesday. William was there, sitting front row with his attorney. I sat 3 rows back, watching Lauren shuffle in wearing a plain black suit, her hair pulled severely back. She'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. The evidence was damning. Hidden bank accounts, luxury purchases made while claiming poverty, false statements made under oath during divorce proceedings. The judge listened to William's attorney present everything in careful detail, then looked at Lauren with clear disgust. "Ms. Martinez, you stood in this court 3 years ago and swore under oath that you had disclosed all assets. You claimed financial hardship to reduce your settlement obligations. Yet within days of your divorce being finalized, you made purchases totaling over $80,000. You hid investment accounts, luxury vehicles, and transferred money to offshore accounts in a clear attempt to defraud your former husband." Lauren's attorney tried to interrupt, but the judge held up one hand. "This court takes fraud seriously. You are hereby ordered to repay William the full amount of hidden assets, plus interest, plus punitive damages of an additional $50,000. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for criminal prosecution. Fraud during legal proceedings is not a civil matter only. It's a crime." Lauren swayed on her feet. Her attorney caught her elbow. "Your Honor, my client requests leniency given her current circumstances." "Your client's current circumstances are a direct result of her own fraudulent actions. Request denied." The gavel struck. Lauren turned, scanning the courtroom. Her eyes found mine. She'd aged, but I recognized the woman who'd sent me those hotel receipts, who'd smiled in those screenshots, who'd wanted me to know I'd been replaced. She looked away first. "William found me in the hallway afterward. Thank you for everything. For connecting the dots. For giving me the courage to dig deeper. You deserved the truth. You deserved your money back." Lauren's facing criminal charges now. She could go to prison. Good. She helped James hide money. She benefited from stolen funds. She deserves everything coming to her. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Olivia. Probably using someone else's phone since I'd blocked hers. The text read, "Mom, please. I know you're angry, but this has gone too far. Dad's in jail. Lauren's losing everything. I have nothing. No money, no job prospects because everyone knows I'm connected to this. Please just talk to me." I showed the message to Anna. "Are you going to respond?" she asked. I typed carefully. "You made Lauren your maid of honor. You posted on social media that some people can't let go of the past with me in mind. You chose your side. These are the consequences. Your father stole money. Lauren committed fraud. Those are crimes, Olivia. Real crimes with real victims. I didn't create this situation. I just refuse to help hide it anymore. You want someone to blame? Look at the people you defended instead of the person who tried to warn you." I hit send and blocked the new number. "That's going to hurt her," Anna said quietly. "She hurt me first. She hurt me publicly, deliberately, knowing exactly what Lauren represented. She doesn't get to play victim now." That evening, I met with the prosecutors again. They wanted my testimony for James's trial, wanted me to walk a jury through how I'd discovered the evidence, how I'd pieced together his fraud. The defense is going to try to paint you as vindictive, the lead prosecutor warned. They'll say you had motivation to fabricate evidence or misrepresent facts. Everything I found was already in existence. Bank records don't lie. Emails don't lie. James documented his own crimes. I just organized what was already there. Still, be prepared. They'll make you look bad to make James look better. Let them try. I've got nothing to hide. Can they say the same? The trial date was set for 3 months out. James remained in jail. Nobody posted his bail. His family claimed they couldn't afford it, though I suspected they just didn't want to be associated with him anymore. Funny how quickly loyalty vanished when crime was involved. Lucas called me that Friday. Olivia showed up at my apartment last night. She's practically homeless, Mom. She's been staying with friends, but nobody wants her around long term. She's asking to stay with me. What did you tell her? That I needed to think about it. I wanted to talk to you first. Why? She's your cousin, Lucas. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you're my aunt, and you've been through hell because of her father and his girlfriend. If I let Olivia stay with me, am I betraying you? I thought about that. Lucas was 29, a good kid, well, a good adult now. He'd been supportive during my divorce, had texted me regularly to check in, had made it clear he thought James and Lauren were wrong. Lucas, you're not betraying me by showing Olivia kindness, but understand that helping her might mean she never learns the full lesson here. She made choices, bad choices. If everyone rushes in to save her from the consequences, she'll never understand why those choices mattered. So, I should let her figure it out on her own? I'm saying that's what I'd do, but you're not me. You get to make your own choice. Lucas was quiet for a long moment. She said you're being cruel, that you've turned into someone she doesn't recognize. I've turned into someone who won't be a doormat anymore. If that's unrecognizable to her, that says more about her expectations than my behavior. Fair point, he sighed. I'll tell her she can stay for 2 weeks max while she figures things out. But I'm not funding her lifestyle or letting her dodge responsibility. That's generous of you. Yeah, well, someone should show her what conditional support looks like, since she's about to learn that bonus moms disappear when things get hard. He wasn't wrong. Lauren had blocked Olivia on everything. When things got bad, when criminal charges hit, when money evaporated, Lauren had cut ties with the stepdaughter she'd claimed to love. Olivia was learning that relationships built on shared enemies fall apart when the enemy wins. By the end of the month, the full scope of damage was clear. James was facing 15 to 20 years in federal prison if convicted. His attorney was pushing for a plea deal, but prosecutors weren't budging. They wanted maximum sentencing to send a message about white-collar crime. Lauren was charged with 2 counts of fraud, 1 count of perjury, and faced up to 10 years if convicted on all counts. Her attorney was negotiating, trying to get probation in exchange for cooperation in James's case. And Olivia? Olivia had lost her job. The nonprofit she'd worked for had quietly let her go, citing organizational restructuring. But everyone knew it was about the scandal. Her apartment was up for lease termination because she couldn't afford rent. Her social circle had evaporated because nobody wanted to be associated with the fraud case dominating local news. She sent one final text from yet another number. I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything. I replied before blocking. I didn't destroy anything. I revealed what was already destroyed. There's a difference. The trial started on a Tuesday morning in late spring. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters, cameras, curiosity seekers wanting to watch a local attorney's fall from grace. I arrived early with Anna, both of us dressed professionally, prepared for a long day of testimony. James was led in wearing a suit his attorney had brought. He'd lost weight in jail, looked gaunt and older than his 54 years. He didn't look at me when I entered the courtroom. Smart. Eye contact would have been a mistake. The prosecution's case was methodical and devastating. They walked the jury through every fake invoice, every phantom vendor, every dollar transferred from firm accounts to James and Lauren's private paradise fund. Bank records were projected on screens. Emails were read aloud in James's own words. "We're almost there, babe. Another 6 months and we'll have enough to retire early." Nobody suspects a thing. When it was my turn to testify, I took the stand calmly. The prosecutor was thorough but gentle. "Ms. Emma, can you explain how you came to discover these financial irregularities?" "My ex-husband and I had shared an iCloud account during our marriage. After the divorce, I had legal access to the account through our divorce settlement. It contained family photos, documents related to our daughter. I noticed he was still backing up his work files to that shared account. I reviewed those files and found evidence of fraudulent activity." "Why did you feel compelled to investigate further?" "Because my daughter had just told me she was making my ex-husband's affair partner her maid of honor instead of me. The woman who'd sent me screenshots of their hotel receipts to humiliate me was being elevated to a position of honor in my daughter's life. I wanted to understand how they could afford the lifestyle they were living when my ex-husband had claimed poverty during our divorce." "And what did you discover?" "That my ex-husband had been systematically stealing from his firm and clients for at least 3 years, that he'd created fake vendor accounts, submitted fraudulent invoices, and transferred money to private accounts he shared with his girlfriend, that they'd built their entire relationship on stolen money." The defense attorney objected several times, trying to paint me as obsessed or vindictive, but the evidence didn't care about motivation. Numbers didn't lie. Bank transfers didn't lie. James's own documented words didn't lie. "You spent 8 months compiling this evidence?" the defense attorney asked during cross-examination, his tone dripping with skepticism. "Yes. 8 months secretly investigating your ex-husband? Doesn't that seem excessive?" "No, it seems thorough. If I was going to accuse someone of a crime, I wanted to make absolutely certain I could prove it." "You wanted revenge against your ex-husband for leaving you. I wanted justice for his theft. There's a difference." "You systematically destroyed his life?" "I systematically revealed the truth about crimes he'd committed. If his life is destroyed, it's because he destroyed it himself by stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars." The attorney tried to rattle me, but I'd prepared for this. Every question he asked, I answered calmly. Every insinuation he made, I deflected with facts. By the time I stepped down from the stand, the jury looked at me with something close to respect, and at James with disgust. Lauren testified on day 3, called as a witness for the prosecution after taking a plea deal. She looked broken. Makeup couldn't hide the exhaustion, the weight loss, the tremor in her hands. She'd agreed to testify against James in exchange for reduced charges, though she'd still face prison time. "Ms. Martinez, did you know the money in your joint accounts with James came from fraudulent activities?" the prosecutor asked. Lauren's voice was barely audible. "Not at first. But I found out about a year ago." "And what did you do when you found out?" I didn't do anything. James said it was complicated, that he was just moving money around, that it wasn't really stealing." "But you continued to spend that money? To benefit from it?" "Yes." "Including using stolen funds to purchase wedding gifts for James's daughter?" "Yes." The courtroom was silent. Even the reporters had stopped typing, just watching Lauren admit to everything. "Did you send screenshots of hotel receipts to James's ex-wife during your affair with him?" Lauren looked down. "Yes. Why?" "I wanted her to know. I wanted her to leave him so we could be together without complications." "So you deliberately caused her pain to facilitate your relationship with a man who was embezzling money from his clients and firm?" "Objection?" the defense attorney called, but the damage was done. The jury had seen Lauren for exactly what she was. Someone who'd knowingly benefited from crime, who'd deliberately hurt people, who'd then tried to play victim when caught. When the prosecution played surveillance footage of Lauren purchasing a BMW with cash while claiming poverty in her divorce proceedings, 2 jurors visibly shook their heads. James's defense was weak. His attorney argued that the money was legitimate client settlements that were misallocated due to bookkeeping errors. But the prosecution had documents showing James had created completely fictitious clients, billing them for work that was never done, then transferring the money to his personal accounts. There was no way to spin systematic fraud as bookkeeping errors. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was read in a courtroom so silent I could hear my own heartbeat. On the count of wire fraud, count 1, guilty. On the count of wire fraud, count 2, guilty. 14 counts, 14 guilty verdicts. James stood there, swaying slightly, as his life officially ended. Sentencing was set for 3 weeks out. The judge denied bail pending sentencing. James would wait in jail. His attorney filed for appeal immediately, but everyone knew it was futile. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury had been unanimous. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed me. "Ms. Emma, how do you feel about the verdict?" "I feel vindicated. I spent 3 years being told I was bitter for not moving on from my divorce, but I wasn't bitter. I was right." James was exactly the kind of person his actions during our marriage suggested he was. A liar, a cheat, and now a convicted felon. "What about your daughter? How is she handling this?" "You'd have to ask her. We're not in contact. Does that bother you?" "No. She made it clear during her wedding that she preferred the company of criminals over the company of the mother who raised her. I've accepted her choice." The clip went viral. Comments poured in, mostly supportive. People who'd been through divorces, who'd been betrayed, who understood that sometimes the high road meant refusing to be a doormat. There were critics, too. People who said I was cold, that I should forgive Olivia, that family was family. I ignored them all. Lauren's sentencing came first, 2 weeks after James's conviction. She received 5 years in prison, with possibility of parole after 3 if she maintained good behavior. The judge's statement was harsh. "You not only defrauded your ex-husband, but participated in and benefited from a larger criminal enterprise. You sent cruel messages to James's wife specifically to hurt her. You showed no remorse until facing consequences. This court sees no reason for leniency." Lauren cried as they led her away. Her parents were in the courtroom, looking devastated. Nobody looked at them with sympathy. They'd raised the woman who'd helped steal hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then acted like a victim. James's sentencing was the following week. Maximum security, 18 years, no possibility of parole for at least 12. The judge pulled no punches. "Mr. James, you were an attorney. You took an oath to uphold the law. Instead, you systematically violated that oath, stealing from clients who trusted you, from a firm that employed you, from the legal system itself. You showed no remorse, no accountability, and attempted to blame everyone but yourself. 18 years is appropriate for the scope and duration of your crimes." James finally broke. He turned to face the gallery, searching for Olivia. She wasn't there. She'd stopped coming to court after the verdict, unable to face the reality of what her father had become. His eyes found mine instead. I met his gaze steadily, my expression neutral. He opened his mouth, maybe to say something, but then closed it again. What was there to say? Sorry? That I'd been right? That he'd destroyed everything himself? They led him away in handcuffs. 18 years. He'd be 72 when he got out, if he made it that long. Anna took me to dinner after sentencing. A nice restaurant downtown with white tablecloths and wine that cost more than the dress I was wearing. "How do you feel?" she asked. Satisfied. Not happy exactly, but satisfied, like a puzzle's been solved. "You destroyed 3 lives to get this satisfaction." I didn't destroy anything. I revealed what was already broken. James destroyed his own life by stealing. Lauren destroyed hers by participating and by committing fraud in her own divorce. Olivia destroyed hers by choosing them over basic decency. I took a sip of wine. Actions have consequences. That's not cruelty. That's just reality. And you have no regrets? None. Should I? Anna studied me across the table. Most people would feel at least a little guilt. Olivia is your daughter, regardless of her choices. James was your husband for 24 years. That's a lot of history to just cut away. And for 24 years, he lied to me while I was faithful. For 3 years after the divorce, Olivia chose the people who'd destroyed me over the parent who'd raised her. History doesn't obligate me to accept mistreatment. I set down my glass. I'm not cold, Anna. I'm just done being warm to people who mistake kindness for weakness. My phone buzzed. Lucas texting. Olivia saw the news about her dad's sentencing. She's completely broken. Won't eat, won't talk. Should I call you? I typed back. No. She needs to sit with the consequences of her choices. When she's ready to have an honest conversation about accountability and what really happened, she knows where to find me. Until then, let her process. That's harsh. That's appropriate. Anna watched me text. You really aren't going to reach out to her? Why would I? So she can blame me for her father's crimes? So she can ask me to fix things I didn't break? So she can learn that she can treat people terribly and they'll still come running when she needs them? I shook my head. No. Olivia is learning the single most important lesson of her life right now. Choices matter. The people you defend matter. The bridges you burn matter. I hope she learns it well. We finished dinner and went our separate ways. I drove home through streets that felt different now. Lighter somehow, unencumbered. Justice had been served. Truth had won. The people who'd hurt me were facing real consequences. And I was free. 6 months after sentencing, I got a letter. Real mail. Handwritten on plain white paper. Forwarded through Anna because Olivia didn't have my current address. I held it in my kitchen, debating whether to open it. Part of me wanted to throw it away unread. Part of me was curious what she could possibly say after all this time. I opened it. Mom, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve a response, but I'm writing this anyway because I need you to understand something. I was wrong. Not just about the wedding, though I was wrong about that too. I was wrong about everything. About Dad, about Lauren, about you. I thought you were bitter. I thought you couldn't let go of the past. I thought you were the problem because Dad and Lauren seemed so happy together, and you seemed so angry all the time. I didn't understand that you weren't angry about the divorce. You were angry about the betrayal, about the lies, about the fact that everyone expected you to just accept it and move on while they flaunted their relationship built on your pain. I didn't understand any of that until it happened to me. I've spent the last 6 months completely alone. Everyone I thought was my friend disappeared when the scandal hit. Every job interview ends the second they Google my name. My own father's crimes are attached to my identity now, and there's nothing I can do about it. Lucas let me stay with him for a while, but I could tell it was wearing on him. Having me there, being constantly reminded of Dad's crimes, watching me fall apart. He was kind but distant, like he was helping out of obligation, not love. That hurt more than I can explain. Lauren blocked me on everything the second she was sentenced. 5 years of playing stepmom, of posting about our blended family, of telling me she loved me like her own daughter. Gone. The moment she couldn't use me for appearances anymore, I was disposable. That's when I understood what you must have felt. Being disposable to people you thought loved you. Watching them move on like you never mattered. Realizing their love was conditional on you being useful to them. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve a response to this letter, but I needed you to know that I finally understand. You weren't bitter. You were betrayed. And I made that betrayal worse by siding with the people who hurt you. I'm sorry, Mom, for all of it, for choosing Lauren as my maid of honor, for those social media posts, for telling you that you needed to let go of the past, for not believing you when you tried to tell me what kind of people Dad and Lauren really were. I'm working at a coffee shop now. It's minimum wage and my co-workers are mostly 22-year-olds, but it's something. I'm sharing an apartment with 2 roommates I found on Craigslist. It's not much, but I'm learning to live with the consequences of my choices. You taught me that, even though I fought the lesson every step of the way. Choices have consequences. The people you defend matter. The bridges you burn matter. I burned the most important bridge in my life, and I don't know how to rebuild it. Maybe I can't. Maybe that's just another consequence I have to live with. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. Finally, painfully, completely, I understand. Olivia, I read the letter 3 times, sitting at my kitchen table with coffee growing cold in my cup. The words were raw, honest in a way Olivia had never been with me before. There was no deflection, no excuses, no attempt to minimize what she'd done, just accountability. Anna called that evening. Did you get it? The letter? Yeah. And what? Are you going to respond? I looked at the letter again, at Olivia's handwriting. Still the same looping script I'd taught her when she was 7, practicing her name over and over at this same table. I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to. Part of me thinks she's earned the silence. She's apologizing, Em. Really apologizing. Taking accountability. Isn't that what you wanted? I wanted it 6 months ago, before the wedding, when it would have mattered, but she didn't understand then. No, she didn't. And now she does because she suffered, not because she grew. There's a difference. Anna sighed. You're not wrong. But people usually only learn through suffering. Very few people learn empathy before experiencing pain themselves. Should that earn her immediate forgiveness? That she only understood betrayal once she was betrayed? That she only valued loyalty once everyone abandoned her? No. But it might earn her a conversation. I set the letter down. Maybe. Eventually. When I'm ready. If I'm ever ready. That's fair. But the truth was more complicated than fair. The truth was that reading Olivia's words had cracked something in me that I'd kept sealed shut for 6 months. Some small part of me that still remembered her as a child, as a daughter, as someone I'd loved unconditionally before she'd chosen so badly. I didn't respond to the letter. Not that week, not that month. I let it sit on my desk, a reminder that accountability existed, that people could learn, that bridges burned completely could at least acknowledge the destruction. But I didn't rebuild anything. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because the truth was that I liked my life now. I liked the quietness of it, the freedom from drama, the absence of people who drained my energy while demanding my forgiveness. I had my job, my garden, my sister, my small circle of genuine friends. I had peace. And peace was worth more than reconciliation with someone who'd only apologized after suffering consequences. Lucas called me one evening in late fall. I saw Olivia today. She's different, quieter, more thoughtful. She asked about you. What did you tell her? That you were doing well? That you seemed happy? That you weren't interested in contact? And how did she take that? She cried. Said she deserved it. Said she understood. He paused. Em, I think she really has changed. The Olivia I knew 6 months ago would have raged about you being cruel. This Olivia just accepted it. Accepting consequences doesn't erase causing them. No, but it's a start. Maybe, for her. But I don't owe her a fresh start just because she's finally grown up. I know. I just wanted you to know that she's trying. In case it matters. It doesn't, I said, but I wasn't entirely sure that was true. The holidays approached. I spent Thanksgiving with Anna and her family, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about me, who'd supported me through everything. It was small and warm and uncomplicated. Lucas mentioned that Olivia had spent Thanksgiving alone, working a shift at the coffee shop. Nobody had invited her anywhere. The family had collectively decided that associating with her meant associating with the scandal, and that was too high a price. I felt something twist in my chest at that image. Olivia alone on Thanksgiving, serving coffee to strangers, with nowhere to go and no one to call. But I didn't reach out, because that twist in my chest was exactly what she'd counted on for years. My inability to let her suffer, even when suffering was the consequence she'd earned. This time, I let the feeling exist without acting on it. I acknowledged the pain without trying to fix it. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is let them learn their lesson completely. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is refuse to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Christmas came. I bought myself a trip to Vermont, stayed at a bed and breakfast in a small town where nobody knew my name or my story. I read books, drank hot chocolate, walked through snow-covered streets, and felt utterly content. Anna sent me a photo on Christmas morning. Olivia's social media post, public again, showing her alone in a small apartment with a single string of lights. The caption read, "Some years you learn that family isn't who you're born to. It's who earns the right to be called family. This year I learned I hadn't earned that right. Merry Christmas to those of you who have people who love you. I hope you appreciate them more than I did. I looked at the photo for a long time. Then I closed it and opened the book I'd been reading. Olivia was learning. That was good. But her learning didn't require my participation, and my peace didn't require her presence. Those were the truths I'd earned through 8 months of investigation, through testifying in court, through watching justice served, and I wasn't giving those truths up for anyone. Not even my daughter. Especially not my daughter. Because she'd taught me that love without respect is worthless, and I respected myself too much to accept anything less now. 3 years after the trials, I was living a life I'd built entirely for myself. I'd been promoted at work, senior consultant now, leading a team of analysts. I'd bought a small house by the coast, nothing extravagant but mine completely, with a garden that flourished under my care, and a porch where I drank coffee every morning watching the sunrise. Anna visited often, usually bringing wine and gossip about mutual acquaintances. Lucas came by sometimes too, always careful not to mention Olivia unless I asked first. I rarely asked. "She's doing better," he told me one Saturday afternoon while we were grilling on my porch. Got promoted to shift supervisor at the coffee shop, started taking night classes at community college. She's growing up, I guess. Finally. Good for her. She still asks about you sometimes, not often, but sometimes. And you tell her the same thing? That you're happy and not interested in contact? Yeah. He flipped a burger, not looking at me. Does that bother you? That she's getting her life together and you're not part of it? I thought about that honestly. Did it bother me? 3 years ago, the idea of Olivia growing and changing without me would have been devastating. Now? No, I said. It doesn't. She's learning to be a functional adult. That's what I wanted for her anyway. I just wanted her to learn it while respecting me, not while spitting on me. Since that didn't happen, I'm content to let her learn on her own. You're really never going to forgive her, are you? Forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation, Lucas. I've forgiven her in the sense that I don't wish her harm, and I'm not actively angry anymore. But forgiveness doesn't mean welcoming her back into my life. It doesn't mean pretending the betrayal didn't happen or that the consequences weren't real. That seems lonely, for both of you. Maybe, but it's honest. And I've learned that honesty is worth more than comfort. James was 3 years into his 18-year sentence. I'd heard through Daniel that he'd become a model prisoner, helping other inmates with legal paperwork, teaching GED classes. He was apparently reformed and remorseful. I didn't care. Reformed didn't give back the years he'd stolen from me. Remorseful didn't undo the humiliation of discovering my husband's affair through screenshots sent by his mistress. Lauren was in her 3rd year too, in a women's facility upstate. She'd apparently found religion, which I found darkly amusing. God forgave her, reportedly. Good for her and God. I hadn't and wouldn't. My life had moved on in ways I'd never imagined during those dark days after the divorce. I'd started dating, nothing serious, just casual relationships with people who respected boundaries and understood that my history made me cautious. I'd traveled, Ireland, Scotland, Iceland, places I'd wanted to visit during my marriage, but James had always been too busy for. I'd built a life that was entirely mine, unburdened by people who took more than they gave. One afternoon in early spring, 4 years after the wedding, I was in my garden planting roses when someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Anna was out of town. Lucas usually texted first. I opened the door to find Olivia standing there. She was 30 now, looked older than her years in some ways, younger in others. The hardness that had been developing in her mid-20s was gone, replaced by something softer but also stronger. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup, no pretense. "Hi, Mom," she said quietly. We stood there in silence, looking at each other. 4 years of silence, of separation, of consequences playing out. "I know you probably don't want to see me," she continued. "Lucas told me you were happy and didn't want contact, but I needed to. I needed to see you. To say something in person, not just in a letter you might not have even read." "I read your letter," I said. 4 years ago. I read it 3 times. Something flickered across her face. Hope? Maybe? or just surprised that I'd acknowledged it. "Can I come in, just for a few minutes? If you say no, I'll leave and never bother you again. I promise." I considered that. 4 years of peace, of building a life without her. 4 years of not having to deal with the daughter who'd chosen so badly. I could close this door, maintain that peace, protect that boundary. But I was curious. 4 years was a long time. People could change in 4 years. I'd changed. I stepped back, letting her in. She looked around my house. The art I'd collected, the furniture I'd chosen, the life I'd built. Her eyes lingered on a photo of Anna and me in Scotland, both of us laughing. "You look happy," she said. "I am." "Good. That's good." She turned to face me. "I won't take much of your time. I just needed to tell you something that I couldn't say in a letter." "Okay. I understand why you did what you did. All of it. Investigating Dad, working with William, testifying, letting me crash and burn without helping. I understand now that you weren't being cruel. You were being honest. You were showing me what real consequences looked like." "I wasn't trying to teach you anything, Olivia. I was protecting myself and refusing to enable criminals." "I know. That's what I mean. You weren't performing some elaborate lesson for my benefit. You were just living with integrity. You were refusing to compromise your values to make other people comfortable. And I hated you for it at the time because it meant I had to face what I'd done. And what had you done? I'd sided with people who hurt you. I'd elevated someone who'd destroyed our family to a position of honor in my life. I'd told you that you needed to get over your trauma so that I could be comfortable. I'd chosen my own comfort over your dignity." She looked down. "I've spent 4 years understanding that, sitting with it, learning to be better. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect reconciliation. I don't expect you to welcome me back into your life with open arms and pretend the last 7 years didn't happen." She met my eyes. "But I wanted you to know that your daughter, the one you raised, the one who existed before she made terrible choices, is still here. She's just older now, wiser, sadder, but here." I didn't respond immediately. What was there to say? That I was glad she'd learned? That didn't feel true? That I missed her? That felt too complicated to unpack. "I'm glad you're doing better," I finally said. "Genuinely. I never wanted you to suffer forever. I just wanted you to understand what suffering felt like when it was caused by the choices of people you loved." "I understand now," she smiled. But it was sad, unfortunately. We stood in my living room, 4 years of distance between us, and I felt something I hadn't expected. Not forgiveness exactly, but release. The anger I'd carried, the betrayal, the hurt, it was still there, but it had lost its sharp edges. Time and distance and consequences had filed it down to something I could hold without bleeding. "Thank you for listening," Olivia said. "I know it was more than I deserved. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know anymore." She nodded, accepting that ambiguity. She moved toward the door, then paused. "Mom, one more thing. I want you to know that I tell everyone the truth now. When people ask what happened, I don't make excuses. I don't blame you. I say, my father was a criminal, his girlfriend was a criminal, and I chose them over my mother who was trying to expose the truth. I lost her because I made terrible choices, and she had enough self-respect not to accept my betrayal. I own it. All of it." "Good," I said, and I meant it. She left. I watched her walk to her car, an old Honda, nothing like the BMW her father had promised to buy her with stolen money. She drove away, and I closed the door. Anna called an hour later. "Lucas said Olivia went to see you. How are you?" "I'm fine." It was fine. She apologized again, took accountability, understood why I did what I did, and nothing. She apologized. I acknowledged it. She left. That's it. Are you going to see her again? I don't know. Maybe, eventually. When I'm ready, if I'm ready, or maybe not. Maybe this was enough. Her understanding, me acknowledging that understanding, both of us moving on. That's very emotionally mature of you. I had 8 months of planning revenge to develop emotional maturity. Turns out it's easier to be mature when you've already gotten justice. Anna laughed. Fair point. That night, I sat on my porch with wine and watched the sunset paint the ocean in shades of gold and red. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you for listening today. I know it cost you something to let me in. I won't take that for granted." Oh. I looked at the message for a long time, then I saved the number but didn't respond. Maybe someday I would. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something from the ashes of what we'd been, but not today, not this year, maybe not ever in the way it was before, because the daughter I'd raised had chosen badly, and the woman I'd become deserved better than immediate forgiveness for 4 years of growth. Time would tell if Olivia's accountability was permanent or just another phase. Time would tell if she could maintain integrity when it was inconvenient, if she could stand by the right people even when it cost her. But that was her journey now. Not mine. Mine was sitting here, on this porch I'd bought with my own money, in this house I'd chosen, in this life I'd built from the ruins of betrayal, and my journey was beautiful. James was still in prison. Lauren was still in prison. They'd lost everything: careers, freedom, reputation, dignity. Olivia had lost her mother, her family, her naive belief that choosing the wrong side didn't matter. And I'd lost people who'd never really been mine to begin with. But in losing them, I'd found myself. The sunset faded. The ocean whispered against the shore. My wine grew warm in the glass. And I smiled because I'd won after all. Not because they'd suffered, though they had. Not because justice had been served, though it had. I'd won because I'd become someone who valued integrity over comfort, truth over performance, self-respect over reconciliation. I'd won because I'd learned that some bridges are supposed to burn. And I was standing on the other side, warm and whole and free, watching the flames without regret. That was victory. That was peace. That was enough.